Hello everyone, my name is Ivy Liu and I'm from Marc Garneau Collegiate Institute. So first I'm going to jump right into our main problem, which is, or main statement, which is how might we improve outdoor space at our school so that people can be more engaged outdoors. So let's take a look at our problem. So our main problem is that Marc Garneau has 1,800 students and it's really crowded as a result. And students have expressed their concern over the problems presented by this crowding, which include lack of fresh air and which will impede their learning and also reduce the amount of activity that they will have access to. So here's a rare example of people having fun on the field outside, which is actually rarely used, only when there's events happening or sports or gym classes. So let's take a look at our site for a second. So our biggest issue is that we are separated by a parking lot. So this parking lot, we and the field are separated by a parking lot. So this parking lot is always full of moving cars, and as a result, people never really access the field in their free time. They just stay inside the school, which is a major problem because we have everybody just sitting in the hallways, and it's just not a great experience for many students. And there's also little pavement for activity. There's only a track around there, and overall, there's a lack of space that people use, despite us having such a big field. So here are some stats from a survey we did of almost 100 students at school, and most people think that lack of fresh air is a considerable problem, and at the same time, people don't spend enough time outside in the backfield, so we wanted to solve that problem. So here we're looking at an average user of our facilities at Marc Garneau. So a lot of people just don't know where to sit. Is the library open? Because the library is one of the few places that's nice enough to sit in. And a lot of people just end up sitting in the hallways, as I mentioned earlier, check if the library is open, tries to find events. But what they don't do is go outside. So as a result, the user will end up feeling a lot of negative emotions. And this is something that me and my classmates have felt a lot and wanted to change. So we took a little walk around the back of our school, and we found that there's actually, it doesn't look like a lot, but besides the sports space in the middle that might be used for playing sports, there's a lot of space in the back, even with a garden that nobody ever goes to. It's deserted. The only time that it's used, as far as I know, is for green industries, and overall there's a lot of area, but there's not a lot of seating, activity, and activity space or shade, which is what people need. What people would want to engage with the space like this. So here's some brainstorming we did, so you can look at some of our ideas for activity and study spaces. And we went on to draft our solution, which is overall an outdoor event and social space with PVC dome and seating to prevent weather. That's our centerpiece. So we brainstormed some design elements for our dome, and I'll be showing our main design for the dome later. So next we reevaluate our space. So because we're gonna build at the back of the field, we're gonna need signage to direct people to go there. So, and we also have to make sure that it's accessible to everyone. So this is our original design. So we had our activity bars, which we later found out we couldn't use, so I'll talk more about that later. And this is some of our design for our dome. So what we learned from our 2023 year is that there's a big barrier in between when something is approved and when it can actually be built. And there's also something that we can't do, which is install in the ground. So basically our solution had to be mobile, and we had to approach this project in phases. So here are some of our mobile options. So phase 1, we're going to put seating. Phase 2, we have our platform. And phase 3, we have our dome. And phase 3, we have our shade. So this is a diagram of our phases. And why is this a repeat? So next we looked into suppliers. And yeah, that's about it. I think this slideshow was changed. So yeah, I'm going to go back a little because I think there's a little bit of time left. So if you want to look at our phases, here they are. So yeah, that's it for my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope to hear any feedback that you have about our plan.
I love that your group is working on the geodesic dome. It's just with a school by the name of Marc Garneau. I think it's sort of ironic that space is a problem. Just play on words, but I also like that you're thinking like thinking of places to actually move. But my main question is, because there is a parking lot between the green space, is the parking lot totally utilized other than pick up and drop off? I'm wondering if there's maybe a way with planters and stuff that you could actually encourage a strategic path to go between the spaces to encourage, to encourage people to travel to the other spaces, even with just lines on the pavement and other things. Yeah.
Okay, so to answer your question, there's an issue of like no installations in the school, so we can't really like install any extra sidewalks for students to walk on. So that's a problem that we are unable to solve realistically. But what students usually do is they walk. I don't know if you can see my mouse here. Can you? Yeah. So they walk in this area. They walk from here. There's like a little bit of a gap here where there tends to be cars, but usually in the summer they will go over here to around this portable area, and then they can access the backfield. So the parking lot itself cannot be used because during pickup and drop-off time it can get really crowded. But what I mentioned earlier is that we can use signage. So like we can do like a crosswalk. We can possibly like paint a crosswalk. That's a new idea that we haven't thought of, but like we could paint a crosswalk here that says pointing over there. There's like outdoor activity space back there. That could be a good idea. So yeah. Also, I found a comment about Marc Garneau really funny because like he's an astronaut and all. So yeah.
Thanks for your presentation. I kind of have maybe a similar comment, but a lot with planning, like it's about changing hearts and minds and actually working with people's existing behaviors. So it would be interesting to kind of map out what are the desire lines, if you will, of how people like to travel around the site, around the campus. And hearing you talk about, because you're talking about how people, like this, it sounds like the biggest barrier is this big huge parking lot in between. So I guess it's just what is it gonna, what's the thing that's actually gonna draw them into this space beyond the fact that it's super cool and you want to go there, but in terms of drawing people, how are they going to get there? And this like to tackle this no installation policy, like what kind of guerrilla tactics can you do? Like maybe you want to do an event of like using chalk to kind of map out the desire lines, and you can make it fun and colorful, and just like kind of like draw people to your installation. So it doesn't have to be just utilitarian signs, but and something that's quick and not permanent, to kind of think like there's something fun and lively that's just on the other side of this concrete. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback. I think those are really great ideas. I apologize for not elaborating on the signage earlier because of the time constraint. But for signage, we can use all kinds of things other than just signs. We can do events using the activity space around like summertime, and we can also draw on the pavement, so we considered that, and that's similar to the crosswalk. And there's something I forgot to mention, is that our activity space, because if it's mobile, it does not necessarily have to stay at the back of the field. We can also have it around the portables, because this space here is also open for building, which is what we realized this year actually. And currently we do have some picnic benches that we installed, because we actually pitched to our school last year. So we do have some picnic benches at the front of the school here. So if anything, if building at the back of the field is not optimal, then we can also consider other spaces. So yeah, overall, if we're at the back of the field, we're definitely going to consider some creative signing. And if not, then we'll see how building at the front or near the portables goes.
So I had very similar questions to Sharon and Adam, especially around the parking lot, because that seems like a huge barrier, but it's nice to hear that you are thinking about ways that you can draw people out. Another way that I thought that picks up on something that Sharon and yourself were just talking about a little bit, you mentioned events, and you mentioned that people use the space sometimes when there's something going on. So what about in addition to the lovely designed pieces that you're talking about bringing, really liked them, by the way, but what about programming and activation of the space more regularly, like if there's a outdoor social committee or something, to kind of just make sure that there's people getting out there?
So last year we had activities called Wellness Wednesdays, but I don't think we had them this year. For some reason, I don't think they happen as often anymore. But there used to be a monthly Wednesday where people went and did activities for peace of the mind. So I feel like we can do that more. Or we actually do not have a club. We do have psychology club. It's a pretty good idea for us to collaborate with psychology club, maybe to do some meditation or calming activities, or we can even collaborate with our tutoring club to get some lessons or homework getting done in the outdoor space, which can be really helpful. So yeah, that's a great idea. We should be I think collaborating with those kind of clubs could provide some year-round activities. The only thing that we cannot do, however, is physical activity around the space. It's more of a study and resting space, and we hope to use it as such during the regular school term as well. So I think, yeah, collaborating with clubs is our best option for that, and we're definitely going to consider that.
Great, thank you.